Greg is such an idiot. He quotes this made up thing about this 10% rule. Then what? Yesterday, Jeff Cavalier uses the same freaking 10% rule that I use in my video. Jeff Cavalier, 8 million followers. Smart guy. Did I invent this? Did I make it up? No. Coach Greg, and today we're going to take a look at a couple videos by Jeff Nippard. We're going to do this to help settle the debate I had with Dr. PhD Mike Israetel, because he's all science and I know nothing because I only have my master's. Who was right? Did I make any points that made any sense? Did Mike? Did we both make sense? Or none of us? I'm going to be using some of the points Jeff made during his videos and analyze the points made during the video of the debate of me and Mike. Did they make any sense? Based on what Jeff said, because Mike loves Jeff. Jeff is Mr. Science too. Thousands of comments were made on, we didn't even have a debate. It just seemed more like Mike was so mad at me. And why was Mike mad at me? Well, Mike was mad at me because, why? Because I make fun of Stephanie Buttermore. No, I don't. I just use her as an example of why not to go all in. Do I call her names? Not really. Did I call her a pig? Not really. What did I do? I read a quote that she said. She felt like a whale. What did I literally call her? I literally called her obese. And then he's like, no, she's not obese. I said, her body fat is over 33%, so she is obese. 33% is obese for a female, 25% is obese for a male. No, that's not correct. That's not, no. So Mike disagrees. And then it's all over the internet. Not like I made this up. I didn't randomly decide 33%. Do I make fun of women? No. I support females. I coach tons of them. My girlfriend, who would be sitting right next to me, and I'm doing a video on body fat, and she was at 38%. And I'm like, Miss Obesity here. We're just making light of it. Then when she got under 33%, I'm like, look, she's not obese anymore. She's under 33%. What do I do with Stephanie? Stephanie's extremely good looking. She carries her fat well. She's very intelligent. She speaks very well. She has a great channel. She's very engaging. I compliment her 50,000 times, so much that people think I have the hots for her, and they're writing me to say that, and I'm like, I'm just telling it like it is. And just because she's obese, or if I say you're obese, doesn't mean I think you're a horrible human being. I'm talking about your percentage of body fat. Just like if I say you're Caucasian or black, I'm not racially trying to discriminate against you. If I say you're tall, I'm not mad. If I say you're short, I'm not insulting. If I say you're strong, you're strong. I'm short. I'm not, oh my God, Greg has no self-esteem. He called himself short. If I'm 25% body fat or more, I will call myself obese. That's just how it is, okay? So that's just a slide rant on this whole thing. So Mike just wanted to be, oh, Greg, you suck because you made fun of Jeff Nippard, because Jeff Nippard, I said, train like a pussy. By pussy, I just mean not hard. It's just a clinical scientific definition. Pussy. It's just what I do. I make fun of myself all the time. Stop taking life so seriously, people. Come on, like, gee whiz, like, just relax. Cheese whiz. You're making me hungry. I want that French toast. So point one in Jeff's video, it says, argument one, stop it with the science. Get in the gym and work.
Okay, so up first is this idea that we all need to stop it with all the science. We need to put the books down and we need to just go in the gym and start training harder. And I can actually totally see where this is coming from. I myself even find myself getting frustrated sometimes with an over-reliance on scientific literature.
Jeff's like, basically, well, science is important, but you use it to better your training. The science doesn't worsen your training. That is correct. But what I mean by that is people use and cherry pick and find studies to make excuses to not train hard. That is what I mean. You can use and find a study to do whatever you want. There are so many studies, thousands of studies on whoever. You're an advanced lifter like me. I can find a study that says, boy, if you go to failure, it's bad. Don't do it. And then I'll train less intensely. Or I could just find and do every study until I find the one that says, yes, training to failure and doing a drop set is good. It works the muscle hard. So don't use science as an excuse to train easy. That is what I mean, okay? Jeff, I feel, was starting to do that a little bit. Maybe he'll back off from that now.
I feel like I've kind of been pigeonholed into holding this position that I don't hold, that you should just train with low effort and just kind of go through the motions or just go in the gym and get a pump or whatever, which is actually not what I think at all. I actually think training hard is super important.
I really think that training hard is very important. So that definitely clears that up. He also says there's an appropriate amount of effort. And that effort isn't just going all to the max. So that's the fallacy that people think about me. People have been saying, go Greg, harder, harder. Ugh. I don't say to go insane in your workouts. Harder means more effort than the last time. It doesn't mean train like Greg. It means train harder than you did last time. Progressive overload. It's not, oh, you just go insane in the gym. So that clears that up. A big point is brought up on the actual fatigue that's being brought up by going to failure. And even Jeff will agree with me. All exercises are not the same. If you do a set of deadlifts to failure, it's very, very fatiguing, and you might not be able to do that again twice in the same week. Because I'm a proponent of training each body part twice a week, each muscle twice a week. You can do 3 times, but whatever. I don't believe in doing chest once a week, okay? Biceps once a week. I think you get more benefit from doing it more often, which I think Jeff also agrees. Now, if you're training to failure all the time, you may not be able to do the twice a week workouts, so you're too sore. But you can't go in the gym and think, oh my God, I can't go hard on this set of bench press because in 4 days from now when I do chest again, I'll be sore. I mean, you build up to this. It's not rocket science. You go in at first and you bench press, and if you're doing 5 reps shy of failure and you're sore from that, then don't start doing it harder yet. You don't need to. But if you're training and you're like, oh, I'm not sore, and the next workout comes back and you're like, what should I do? Well, go a bit harder. It's simple. And then you're like, wow, I'm really sore now that I went to 4 reps. Well, stick it at 4. Keep it there. Then you're like, wow, I'm not sore anymore. Okay, well, let's try going to 3 reps shy of failure. You build up over months and months and you get to this point, okay? Now, different muscles make you more sore than others. I can train biceps really hard to failure over and over again and I'm not sore. But if you do squats or deadlifts to failure on a lot of sets, it might be too much for you. So then I did this debate with Mike.
Proxy indicators for hypertrophy, the pump, perception of tension in the muscle, the amount of fatigue and soreness and performance. Yours seems to be based on the 10% number, and I just, one of those might be more precise than the other, and one of those might auto-regulate better to an individual over time than the other.
See, the average person, when you said what you just said, doesn't understand that. And I brought up this 10% rule that, reference it, Greg. And I don't remember the reference because I read it 20 years ago. Sorry, I don't have a photographic memory like my twin. I don't remember the exact name. And I'm doing a debate, and I'm on the beach in Mexico, and I'm not sitting there, I'm going to memorize this study and try to make Mike look like an idiot. No, I'm doing an interview so that I can educate a population of people on what he thinks and I think, and we can go back and forth and share our different opinions. But Mike only cares about making me look like an idiot. Mike is like, oh, Greg is such an idiot. He quotes this made-up thing about this 10% rule. What is that? Well, it's not like Charles Poliquin had created this thing back in the day and talk about a 10% critical drop-off point where if you can't perform 10% of the strength, then it's too much and you've lost enough strength, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into it too much. Then what? Yesterday, Jeff Cavalier uses the same freaking 10% rule that I used in my video.
If I drop the weight, let's say 10 or 15%, so 150 down to 135 or 130 or so, and I can't do that for the same number of reps after that same minute and a half or 2 minutes, again, there's a red flag for me there that I'm not really recovering very well.
Jeff Cavalier, 8 million followers. Smart guy. Did I invent this? Did I make it up? No. To know if you're training really hard, if your program says do 5 sets of 10 on the lat pull down and you do all 5 sets of 10, it probably wasn't that hard because by the 5th set, shouldn't you be getting tired? But if you're on set 3 or 2 and you're like, you've already lost 10% of your strength, you're probably training too hard and you can stop. You don't need to do the 4th and 5th set. It's enough. I didn't think that was rocket science. I was just trying to help people in general at the gym who don't have a $50,000 coach telling them mesocycle week 1, 2, 3, 6 RP, vial, blah, blah, train, stop, and over their heads. I'm like, look, if you can do 5 sets of 10, then do the 5 sets of 10 because it's not that hard. But if you've lost 10% of your strength by rep set 3, you're one of those guys that trains hard. You don't need to keep going. It's just too much. You're overtraining. I thought that was simple. All right, the second point is RPE and moderating effort will only work for beginners. I don't think people think that. Only beginners need to not train all out crazy. Not true. Intermediate is not a beginner. Intermediates don't need to train like me either. You don't need to go all out on every single set. No, I don't even say that, okay? I don't know where these things come from. Advanced lifters, let's take advanced. Do they go all out crazy on every set? No. You still warm up, you still build up to a point, and you still train. Most of your sets are going to be really friggin' hard, though. Really hard. How hard? Harder than last time. Just remember, you're trying to train harder than you did last time. You're not trying to train the hardest in the world. And Jeff used the example of, you're your own scientist, you're your own person trying to figure this out. What are you going to do? If you say, oh, let's take frequency, and you're training once a week, you don't go and start training 7 days a week each body part. Oh, chest, I do chest on Mondays. Well, I just read it, I should increase my intensity or increase my frequency. Well, I'm going to train chest 7 days a week, my whole body. No, it's just crazy that people think that. So you go up. How do the most advanced people train? He went and asked these top natural guys, do you always train to failure? And about half of them said, yeah, I use train to failure. The other half said no. Does that mean that train to failure isn't good or that it is good? Not really. It doesn't really mean anything. It's not very scientific to just ask a few top natural pros. Are they even natural? We don't know. It doesn't matter. They should train harder than last time. If the advanced natural world champion never trains to failure, well, maybe next month he should, and maybe he'll get even better.
And we know from research that steroids actually build muscle better than training itself does. In other words, you can build more muscle by taking steroids than you can by training naturally.
And everyone seems to think this, which is everyone is wrong, because everyone's an idiot. If you take 600 milligrams of test, so you're on test, and you don't train, you're going to build more muscle than if you're natural and you do train. Why? Because the study proved it. It's proof. Shazamo proofo. Is it? Okay, so what happens when you give people 600 mgs of test a week? Extreme water retention. Test converts to estrogen. You get to turn into the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Just like D-ball. So, what does that mean? You go on your DEXA scan because it's so accurate and you weigh yourself and oh, look at that, 13 pounds of lean tissue gain. Whoa, it's all test, all muscle. They don't care that as soon as they stop the test, they drop all that water weight. Oh, you build muscle without a training stimulus because Mike Israetel said you could. All right, that's awesome. Because the next time I get in a car accident and get into a coma, I'm going to for sure have it written down. Give me test and trend. Because then I'm going to get jacked while not moving in bed in a coma. Or if I ever, heaven forbid, get in a car accident and become paralyzed, well, I don't want my legs to shrink. I have great legs. Have you seen my legs? They're great legs, right? I'm going to take Tren while I'm in a wheelchair and my legs will never shrink. They'll probably get bigger because I'm only on HRT, right? They don't need a training stimulus for growth. They'll grow even though I'm just sitting in a wheelchair and can't use my legs for exercise. That is so stupid. Why? Because it is so stupid. I don't need to explain because every one of you understand that. See, you're becoming less of a moron because now you understand why I'm not a moron. As soon as you decide Greg is not a moron, he makes sense, that automatically makes you not a moron. That's how you know, okay? Oh, and the best part, remember how Mike posted on his wall all the private chats? So he doesn't post any of the other parts of the chat. I won't say what he posted or from who he posted from. No, we won't do that. We'll just cherry pick certain parts and post it and try to discredit Greg because he called his subs morons, which I do in 90% of my videos, including myself. Have you ever seen me talk about myself with technology? Stupidest person alive. I am on the phone with people and I'm like, look, I'm 6 years old. Pretend I'm 6. And that is an insult to 6-year-olds because they're smarter than me with technology. Explain to me how to do this. That is how I talk. It doesn't mean I'm insulting people. Oh my God. And heaven forbid I want to make an income coaching. I should just charge nothing and coach everyone for free. And Greg wants to be on a channel with a lot of views. Of course I do. You think I want to get in a debate with 5 people that watch the debate or 500,000 people? Where am I going to get more people to learn? Where am I going to get more audience? The more the better. I don't see The Rock going in the backyard and acting in a movie with no camera crew filming him. He makes a film with 50 billion people that watch it. And no, I'm not literally saying 50 billion. Stupid commenters will be like, oh, Greg is stupid. He thinks there's 50 billion people that watch the movie. No. Okay? So everybody can work for money. Everyone's allowed to get viewed. Actors allow people to watch them. I, in fact, give you information and I'm being watched. That kind of makes me an actor, doesn't it? There's nothing wrong with trying to get money from this.
The third argument that I keep hearing is that people are just inherently bad at estimating how many reps they actually have left in the tank. And I think that there actually is some truth to this. About a year ago, I did a video called "You're Not Training Hard Enough," which summarized a study that had subjects pick a weight that they would normally do for 10 reps on the bench press, and then had them actually take that weight to failure. And what they found when they counted how many reps they actually got was that over 40% of the subjects got 6 to 10 reps more than what they normally do, and 26% of subjects got 19 or 20 reps with their typical 10 rep weight, meaning those subjects were leaving 9+ reps in the tank, which isn't nearly enough intensity to drive muscle growth past the newbie phase. However, while this should be a wake-up call for some people who just aren't being honest with their efforts in the gym, I actually don't think it discredits RPE at all. Basically, all it tells us is that when people are left to their own devices, they tend to train somewhat lazily in the gym. That isn't really a surprise. We also have other research showing us that experienced lifters are in fact very good at predicting how many reps they have in the tank, especially when the reps are more moderate to low. In other words, if you've trained to failure enough to know what true failure feels like, it actually isn't that hard to estimate when you've got 1 rep left in the tank or 2 reps left in the tank. This is especially the case if you've honed in on this skill over time, as I think you should. So bringing this full circle, is just train harder good lifting advice? I would say in some situations, yeah, it is.
So bringing this full circle, is just train harder good lifting advice. Quoting Jeff, I would say, yes, I win. Sorry, Mike, I win.
In a lot of situations, I would say it's the exact opposite of what people need to hear, especially for people who are already pushing themselves appropriately in the gym, and they'd be much better off managing their effort more closely and fine-tuning some of the other training variables.
And in a lot of cases, it's not needed. As in 1 in 100. And have I ever always pointed that out? I'm like, 1% or 5% of you, I usually say 5%. 5% of you don't listen to this advice because you're already training hard enough and it would be stupid to just go harder. I say this all the time. I'm right again in both ways. I'm always right, except for on Wesley Vissers getting his pro card. And I admit when I'm wrong. So there was 1 or 2% of the time when I'm wrong. And I become wrong and I admit it. I bet you Mike will not admit it. I bet you Mike will not admit that 33% body fat is obese. I bet Mike will not admit that the 10% rule makes any sense, even though Jeff Cavalier used it in his last video.
If I drop the weight, let's say 10 or 15%, so 150 down to 135 or 130 or so, and I can't do that for the same number of reps after that same minute and a half or 2 minutes, again, there's a red flag for me there that I'm not really recovering very well.
Even though Charles Poliquin and other people have used and described it, no, it makes no sense. Why? That regulates volume? Well, how can it do that? Well, if you're doing 5 sets and you're planning to do 5 sets and you already lost 10% of your strength, stop, Don't do the 5th set. Don't do the 4th set. You've already lost 10%. Does that make sense? No. Mike's advice is way better, infinitely better, because he has a PhD. It's so much better. What's your advice, Mike? What do you do? Well, I think you should do somewhere between 3 and 12 working sets per body part. Somewhere between 3 and 12. That's so much better advice than if you lose 10% of your strength, you've done enough. Yeah, because 3 and 12 are such close numbers. I'm going to go ahead and do 3. Oh, but you just have to know if your muscles are fatigued, and you can see the contractile volatility and the systematic failure and the mental distinguished of the part of the this and the that and the science and the big word here and another big word over there. And have I said enough big words so you don't know what I'm talking about? And so, yeah, so that I'm right because I have a PhD. And don't listen to Greg because he doesn't have a PhD. Only listen to people like, smart people, they have to have a PhD. Because, like, for example, the lifting dermatologist, you should take all his advice because, he has a PhD. He's a skin doctor, so definitely take all his advice over Greg on how to train because, he's a PhD. He's the lifting dermatologist. Nothing against the lifting dermatologist, but obviously he's going to be biased towards Mike because Mike went on his channel more than me, and I chose to go on a channel with 800,000 subs versus 1.8 thousand. It's no offense to him. I just wanted more people to watch the show, the debate. And Mike, Mike pointed out how Greg refused to debate me and he shared he's scared of me. Was I scared or was I smart enough to know that it was better to debate somebody in a more popular channel? My first person I wanted to debate him on was Jeff Nippard, but Jeff didn't want me on the channel for obvious reasons. I won't get into that, but he didn't want that on the channel, even though Jeff is my second favorite channel to watch after Jeff Cavalier. So there it is. But anyway, follow Jeff Nippard, follow Jeff Cavalier, and if you're super smart and you're into all that stuff, follow Mike as well because he's very smart. He just doesn't make sense to the average person that doesn't have like a degree and stuff, okay? So anyway, that's it. That's a wrap. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Subscribe and the bell button, right, babe?
Yep.
Apparently,
I was hiding.
apparently, Rich Piana said that. Apparently, Rich Piana said that, so I'm copying him apparently, right, babe? I don't know. I watched like 3 Rich Piana videos in my life. I didn't follow much.
People call other significant others babe.
Right, babe.
It's just common.
You're not allowed to say babe anymore because somebody said it. And then somebody said, I can't use the board analogy without referencing Mike, can't use the board and the nail without referencing Mike Mentzer. I've watched a zero videos of Mike Mentzer. Everyone has said something at some point in time. If you leave a monkey to type on a computer screen long enough, they will type like Shakespeare or something. Isn't there a study that says that?
I have no
There's got to be a study.
clue.
A Mike at random, without knowing anything, will write the best book novel in the world. If you give him long enough, it'll randomly type it all out and be like science. Just like studies. You do enough studies forever and it'll prove everything. You do enough studies flipping a coin, heads or tails, 1,000 times in a row you'll get heads. Proof that if a girl flips a coin, it'll be 1,000 times head. Because why? Well, I gave a coin to a girl and 1,000 times in a row it did it. It was just fluke, it was just luck. But luck eventually will prove anything. Anything. So be careful with studies. What else do I do with this thing? GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette IFBB Pro, Instagram. Follow me. Click like, comment, bell buttons, subscribe, swoosh, fire pit, everything. And until next time, I am out.